Remember when Sports Illustrated named Jabari Parker the best high school player since LeBron James? Man, I'm telling you, time flies. I don't think anybody in NBA history has had a more tragic start to their career than Jabari Parker. He came in with ridiculously high expectations, and while he did draw some comparisons to LeBron, in terms of playstyle and build, many believed he'd be the next Carmelo Anthony. However, right from the start, he tore his ACL 25 games into his career. Then, in his third season, where he was having his best year ever, he tore his ACL again, in the same knee. The thing is, despite those two devastating injuries, Parker still managed to recover and contribute. Even recently, in 2020, he was having a respectable year in Atlanta. Since then, he got waived numerous times and has yet to find a stable role. Will he remain a bench warmer for the rest of his career? At 26 years old, is this what he's destined for? How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and today, let's talk about the tragedy that is Jabari Parker's NBA career. It's 2014. The Milwaukee Bucks held the number 2 pick, and this was the year that's supposed to change their franchise forever. Two immensely hyped prospects deemed as the superstars of the future were in this class, Andrew Wiggins and Jabari Parker. For the Bucks, drafting Parker was the first step in turning this franchise around. He was a beast of a man, 19 years old, but he was 6'8", 240, similar size to LeBron's rookie year. Except he wasn't in the same shape as LeBron, nor was he as fast or athletic. Parker was more of a bully ball player, and used his girth to get to the hole. His thickness allowed him to bang down low with guys bigger than him, and overpower smaller dudes. Parker was the perfect combo forward, but of course, like every other rookie, he had weaknesses. A scouting report from 2014 had a very accurate analysis of his issues that would translate to the NBA. Parker's issues break down into two categories: defense and shot selection. He struggles defending faster wing players out on the perimeter because he doesn't sit down in a defensive stance. Instead, he stands hunched over, making it easy for opponents to drive past him. On offense, Parker tries to do too much when nothing is there. Unfortunately, it's these two weaknesses that were the bane of his existence. Early on, he struggled with his weight, and that impacted his entire game. Those injuries certainly did not help either, as he never had a consistent level of production due to his absence. The guy who the Bucks thought would be the team's savior was actually somebody else. Giannis, the young overlooked guy from Greece, made drastic jumps every year, and became the player who they thought Jabari would become. Everyone's quick to point out the injuries as to why he could not succeed, but a lot of it just had to do with himself and his coaches too. He had trouble staying in shape and was routinely overweight. Also, apparently, up until Parker's departure, him and Jason Kidd were not speaking at all. The two of them had an awkward relationship, and Kidd was blamed for not having a plan for Parker, and completely dismissed him when he came back from injury. Regardless, after 2 ACL tears and 4 underwhelming seasons in Milwaukee, Parker sought a new direction. It was in Chicago, his hometown, where they took a chance and signed Parker to a 2-year, $40 million deal. His time there was going very well actually, until Jim Boylen took over as head coach. Prior to that, in the first few months from October to December, Parker was firmly in the starting lineup and putting up nearly 17 points a game, on respectable efficiency. While his defense was still bad, he was trying to put in the effort. His shot selection has improved and he started taking higher efficient shots. However, when Fred Hoiberg was fired and replaced by Jim Boylen in early December, it turned to hell for Parker. In Boylen's first move as head coach, he immediately benched him, literally a day after he got hired. He told Parker, "I want you to come off the bench." However, getting benched quickly turned into not playing at all. From December 15th to January 11th, Parker got DNPs in every single game except for one. According to Boylen, he claimed it was a matchup thing and that the Bulls had way too many power forwards in their congested lineup. For Parker, he admitted this caught him off guard, but he tried to not make a big deal out of it. It is a surprise because I did everything I could in the time I was given, but it is what it is. You can't pout, you just gotta keep moving. Eventually, Boylen attempted to ease Parker back into the rotation, but the damage was done. By the 2019 trade deadline, the Bulls traded him to the Washington Wizards. Despite playing fairly well for them, they decided to not exercise the second year of his $40 million deal, making him a free agent. Fast forward to July of 2019, Parker signed with the Atlanta Hawks, and this was essentially his last chance to show he can still be a capable contributor. At that point, he's reached a pivotal moment of his NBA career. Even with everything that held him back, he still has one last opportunity to perform. Considering he only signed for 2 years, $13 million, it was a low-risk, high-reward move. And you know what happened? John Collins got suspended for 25 games, so this allowed Parker to move into the starting lineup and flourish. Everything came together. In the first few months of that season, Parker was thriving at power forward, leading the team in rebounds and became the secondary scoring option behind Trae Young. His shot selection vastly improved. According to cleaningtheglass.com, only 5% of Parker's attempts were long twos, down from 20% back in Chicago. He also had the 7th highest two-point field goal percentage in the entire league, and he ranked top 20 in offensive real plus-minus. For a few months there, it looked like his season for redemption. The progress was slow, but he was getting there. Atlanta was the place Jabari could have a fresh start, but he was still wary of his place in the league. What he really wanted was stability, something he's never had since the start of his NBA journey. Sadly, this short period of success came crashing down. In early January, he discovered he had a shoulder injury that would take 2 weeks to recover from. That was fine, but 2 weeks turned into a month. And with the return of John Collins, the Hawks no longer needed Parker. Parker got traded at the deadline for the second season in a row. Then, the pandemic hit. The season got suspended, and Parker contracted COVID. With yet another setback, Parker once again started from zero. Since then, he's been trying to get back on his feet. At just 26 years old, it seemed like he was on his way out of the NBA, but he found another chance in Boston. Though he had other opportunities with other teams, he chose to re-sign with Boston because, quote, "I just knew Boston was the right place to be. I knew that. This is a winning team and iron sharpens iron, so if anything, I'm going to get better here playing against the guys every day, being around true competitors, and obviously get a chance for me to learn. Regardless of anything, I'm around good people. I'm around a great team, and I'm just grateful for the moment. And I'm just thankful that I get a chance to play the game I love and I'm healthy." So far, in his limited minutes, he's played quite well. Still, if you told me 6 years ago that Jabari would be a bench warmer and struggling to hang on to his career at the age of 26, I'd be very shocked. A guy once deemed as the next great superstar, nothing went his way. From the ACL injuries, to his poor relationships with his coaches, to a shoulder injury, just when he was starting to look good, it's been a disastrous string of events. With that being said, the glaring weaknesses in his game are hard to ignore, particularly his defense. His career 111.6 defensive rating is abysmal, and he does not make up for that with his offensive production, which has been inconsistent at best. Through all this, Parker has always kept his head high. Every time somebody asks him how he feels or what he wants out of his career, he's always had positive things to say about his experiences. He feels like, even with all the hardship, everything happens for a reason. He'll probably never be the star we imagined him to be, but the most important thing is, he has not given up. I have faith he'll bounce back and find his place in the NBA once again. Anyway, that's all folks. What are your thoughts on Jabari Parker? Personally, I hope he could at least become a starting caliber player again, but even that seems far out of reach now. Do you think he'll have a resurgent year in Boston? Let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.